In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how we can use the pen tool to actually create the shapes that are created in the reverse of our letter forms and allow us to use those as elements of design. I'm going to draw and identify the aperture. The aperture is actually the opening between the two serifs, or the legs in STEM. And in this case it is the serif, so it's the space between there that's the aperture. But you also always want to identify the actual shape that it touches, and by doing that we allow ourselves to really understand the opening as well as what's being created inside there. So I'm going to go ahead and use my pen tool. And by utilizing my pen tool, I'm going to use the shape of my letter form to draw inside this particular shape to pull it out a little bit more. And you can see as soon as I click in this area, I get the white open anchor tool that's going to start my path and create an anchor. And I'm going to go ahead and just follow along the shape of the letter, but I'm not actually creating the shape in the letter. I'm creating the shape that's void of the letter. And by clicking my pen tool down and creating my anchor, I can get my direction lines and I can reshape the actual line with those direction lines. And you can see I'm just following along. In this instance, this is a straight segment, so I don't have any direction lines. So I'm going to draw the straight segment, and I get down here, and I can kind of keep following along. And as soon as I get down here, you can see I have a little bit of a white gap. So I'm going to pull it back up a little bit to create that path. And I'm going to click, so you can now see the shape kind of taking hold here as I follow along the outside edge of the letter form itself. And I'm just clicking and dragging my mouse to create my direction lines. And creating paths is something that takes patience and practice, so if you don't get it the first time, you just keep working at it. But there's some tools you can use as well to fix your paths after you create them. I'm going to put another anchor point in there. I'm going to finish down here, and I'm going to finish across. And now you can see where it says anchor with the pen tool, and then there's a little circle to the right of the pen tool. That means I'm going to close off the path. And the nice thing is this becomes an object. And now I can really identify that apex area because I have drawn the shape, and it can be more identified. And I can go back in and I can edit a little bit if I'm creating any sense of like strange whites. As I pull away, you can kind of see I have some whites. I can also kind of overlap. You don't want to have weird gaps that you create in the shapes, so make sure that you're precise when you edit your paths as well. And this is how you can kind of create the visual. And in this instance, because I'm dealing with the apex, I would go ahead and I would even add in an arrow. And the arrow would be maybe in a different color. And using my strokes, I can change the stroke a little bit, make it a little smaller. And I would go ahead and put on my anchor or my arrow points. Obviously I have to make it even a little smaller so that it's not as tight. I'm going to go ahead and see what maybe not that much. I meant to do 50. So you can see where the start and stop of the anatomy pieces that I'm trying to identify. And I can do something like that. So again, going in and editing my paths once they're created, I just click back on them. I could pull my anchor point or my direction lines up, and I can kind of adjust and readjust my actual shape until I have it precisely with what I want. And the pen tool is a great tool to kind of practice your shapes, and on letter forms are really nice because you deal with a lot of curved segments as well as a lot of straight segments, so you can get a lot of good practice using your pen tool.